What happens if a situation arises that you were unprepared for? A situation such as a blizzard, a tornado, or being locked down due to a virus. Put yourself in any possible situation that could arise. Now ask yourself, what would you do? Where would you go? What do you need? Are you ready? Because what if tomorrow?
Welcome to What If Tomorrow. I'm Mark.
And I'm Pam.
And Pam, our
Pam's here.
co-host from On the Fringe, is on with us tonight as our non-expert expert on the weather. Now, before we get started, I'm going to run an ad. Just a second. Hey, this is Mark with What If Tomorrow and What If Tomorrow on the Fringe. Be sure to check out our website, whatiftomorrowmedia.com, and look at our cool merch. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, posters, and more. Our affiliates are Duke Cannon, EMP Shield, My Patriot Supply, and Conflicted the Game. Or check out buymeacoffee.com/whatiftomorrow and buy us a coffee. And as always, be sure to like, comment, and share on both Facebook and YouTube. It helps get our content out to others and help our channel grow. Now on with the show. I am so glad I made that because that is a mouthful.
That is a great commercial. I'm impressed. You did a good job.
I could have had a job doing radio ads, but it didn't pay as good as my job in a call center. So, it's just one of those things. I gave up show business for the glamorous life of a call center supervisor.
Woo!
I know, isn't that just so glamorous? Well,
sparkle with luck.
Before we get started, here's a shout out to Phil. This is soccer season. His kids are in soccer, and he is a good dad, so he is out with the kids doing soccer and helping coach, and so. We are here holding down the fort. And tonight, as you may have seen on our description, we're talking about worrisome weather, eclipses, and of course, we'll go down a few rabbit holes. Because when don't we? Right?
It wouldn't be us if we didn't go down at least a few.
We've talked about weather on and off on this show several times. Even a few weeks ago, we talked about storm season coming. Storm season is here. Last week, we had a pretty severe storm here in Caney. I got holes in my siding. I lost one of my studio windows. Windows out all over town. Car windows out. I mean, we had hen egg and tennis ball sized hail. It did a number on us. We had a little bit of almost flash flooding. So we decided that, we were going to touch base on this again. And of course, we're a day late or a month late and $1 short. Last month was Kansas Weather Awareness Month. So we're just going to do it a month late because you can't hit it too often. Pam used to be a storm chaser. So she can read radar to some extent, and she has some groovy props for us. And so we'll go on with that. But before we get started on the weather, I just wanted to talk about the eclipse. There was a lot of stuff going on about it's the end of the world, it's the apocalypse. There is a total eclipse someplace on Earth every 18 months. Just because it hit the United States does not make it the apocalypse. I mean, there might have been a few car accidents because of it, people rubbernecking, but I really don't think it was the end of the world. But, we'll check it out in 24 hours and let you know.
We don't hear about most of them because the majority of them happen out over the ocean where nobody's there to witness it. But it's the ones that actually cut across like the United States that we actually hear about. And this was a pretty good one.
This was a pretty good one. I got out 5 minutes before peak, and we were all sharing one pair of glasses. So we looked for about 5 seconds and then went inside so the next person could look. I went out and I saw it at 148, which was the peak here in Kansas or in the Wichita area. And then I went out 5 minutes later and watched it for 5 more seconds as it went the other way. And it was cool. I mean, I've seen several eclipses. This is the biggest eclipse I've seen since I was a kid. So it was exciting. It wasn't quite as exciting as watching Halley's Comet, which only comes through every 75 years. But it was pretty cool. And I know a lot of people traveled a long way sometimes to see it. And that's what made it a big deal, is because it being on the continental United States, most people in the United States could, if they chose to, drive or take a bus to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, hopefully nobody stared at it. So, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, hopefully nobody burned out their retinas.
Goodness.
Usually I save that for LED flashlights when I'm not paying attention. I blinded myself with my flashlight today. I thought I had turned it off and I turned it on bright, and I looked down to get something out of my bib pocket and blinded myself for like 30 seconds.
Oh, no.
I looked right down into it and I just saw spots for like 30 seconds. So bright light is nothing to mess around with, and eclipses will destroy your vision, even though it's dimmer light than you're used to. And do not, I'll say, stare into the eyes of the sun. It is a bad thing.
It is.
Being said, I haven't noticed the collider sending us off into a new universe yet.
No.
Or aliens coming. No more than normal. I mean, I think I've got one down the street.
I didn't see people shooting up in the air, so I'm pretty sure rapture didn't happen.
Right. So, I mean,
good.
Although somebody was threatening to blow up a bunch of sex dolls with helium release.
I saw that. That's hilarious.
That was hilarious. I mean, that would totally be worth the expenditure.
Enzo and Jess are in the chat, and
yay!
Enzo, he was live streaming with some of his buddies, and we turned him on at the library so we could all watch. It was pretty cool.
Mark says flashlight to stun. I did. It was like Space 1999. Oh my goodness. I'm dating myself. So anyway, let's get on with the weather. What do you want to start with tonight, Pam? Since you're the semi-expert.
Oh, I am the non-expert for sure.
The non-expert expert?
Definitely.
I would rather say you were a semi-expert. How about semi-competent?
Oh, just enough. I know just enough to be dangerous.
I'm incompetent. I mean, that's what my psychiatrist said. No, not really. I don't have a psychiatrist.
Mark did say that I used to storm chase, and I did. Me and my now ex-husband, we started in Tulsa with Channel 2 under Dan Threlkeld. So we chased, who else was there at the time? I think like Julie Chen was doing the weather then. George Flickinger was there. So it was that group. They were a lot of fun. Lenny Dean, he was there. Paul Orozco. It was a good group, but yeah, we would get together and have little weather seminars and stuff and talk about what we saw and share video. And then we ended up, when Dan moved on from Channel 2, we moved over to Channel 6 and chased under Travis Meyer up until like 2016, I think. And
nice.
I did more of the driving than anything.
But I mean, that was experience.
Oh yeah, you have to learn really quick how to maneuver a vehicle. And we actually went to Geneseo this weekend.
Yeah, and we had some pretty good weather on our trip there.
We did, and that was actually the same vehicle. We took my old Expedition, and that's the one that we used to chase in all the time.
Well,
So,
yeah, it knew what to do. It was trained
yep.
by professionals. So
It's a good
that's
vehicle for sure. But like Mark was saying, last month was weather aware month, basically, and it's a really good time to have this show because normally May is our peak month when it comes to like tornado warnings and things like that.
yeah,
But it
and
seems
that's
like we've
next
had a
month.
little bit of shift in how things normally go because just here in Caney where we're at, we've already had two supercells move through. We had
Right,
one come
right.
through March 7th and then another one on April 1st. And the
It
one on
was
March
not an April
7th
Fool's
was
joke.
really just a looker more than anything. We really lucked out with that one. But the one on April 1st did some damage.
It did. I got, like I said, I got holes in the side of my house. My roof looks okay, but I haven't got anybody up there to look at it yet. Which I should. I'm a procrastinator. So those of you who have frequented either of the shows know that I am a bad procrastinator. I did post on our Facebook group the 2024 Kansas Severe Weather Preparedness or Awareness Information Packet.
Oh,
That is some good information. It's a printable, I believe. It's a PDF, so you should be able to go through that and get some good information. You can go to look up Kansas weather preparedness, and you should be able to find that
absolutely.
online. It's a good resource. Um, it's got all
Anytime
kinds of
you're
charts and stuff.
anytime you're really looking for safety tips and stuff like that, make sure that you go to weather.gov and NOAA.gov.
Right.
They have some really, really,
Ready.gov has some really good information
oh
too
yeah,
about
there's a
putting
good
together
one.
kits and stuff.
Mhm.
So for any emergency, but they specify weather, uh, all sorts of weather things on there, preparedness manuals for you to download. So just because it is a government resource does not mean it's not a resource that you should check out. Um, because they spent a lot of money on compiling this, you might as well get your taxpayer dollars out of it.
And there's some really good information up there.
There
I
is.
know there's a lot of stuff that you can purchase, but you can go to NOAA.gov. They've got a section for Skywarn. So if you're interested in learning how to spot for the National Weather Service out of Wichita or out of Tulsa or wherever, they have some excellent information there. Kind of the bare necessities, teaching you the basics of what to look for and what kind of reports they need and what to include in that report.
Yeah. Enzo
And
says
those go.
I heard Pam approved my storm avoidance path from Tennessee.
Yeah, you did an excellent job though.
Yeah, he did a good job. He did a good job. Yeah. Oh, hey Sylvain.
Hi, Sylvain.
So, and we've got Tim Smith's on here, and
Hi, Tim.
of course Enzo, Jess.
Awesome.
Um, so they got the usual crew here.
Sweet.
Enzo says he took Skywarn class on base many years. So yeah, it's good information to have.
It is.
And being a Kansas resident almost automatically makes you like a junior weatherman.
You have to
Weather is
have,
very
yeah.
important here. I grew up in a community called Udall, Kansas, that
Mhm.
blew away in 1955. I mean,
Yeah. Off the
uh,
map blew away.
they found the city limit sign in Nebraska.
Mhm.
If that tells you how bad it was blowing, except for two buildings, the entire town got dozed up into a pile and burned for 30 days.
Awful.
So, I mean, so when I was growing up, everything was relatively new.
Mhm.
It was less than 20 years old. So it can destroy a town. Pam's got some pictures of Greensburg.
Yeah.
I've personally went through Joplin days after their big tornado several years ago. It is devastating, and it is it's traumatic even for the people who visit afterwards. I was delivering relief supplies in my company truck. My daughter, bless her heart, had raised a bunch of money and gathered a bunch of water and clothing and whatnot.
I remember she did that.
And my employer gave me permission to use the company vehicle to deliver those things. And we were in town 3 days, I think, after the storm, maybe four. And I still have nightmares about that night. I didn't even go through the storm. It was just awful. So if you think that things like that cannot happen to you, you are dreadfully wrong. We talk a
Absolutely.
lot about on this show, we'll talk about stuff that's probably never going to happen. Storms happen every year. They devastate communities, they end lives, they destroy families. You need to be aware of what's going on and take precautions. So, um, with that, do you want to start showing your slideshow there,
Sure.
Pam?
Yeah, we can.
All right. Pam has put together a slideshow, so I will click that to add it to the stage. Tell us what we're looking at here, Pam.
So this, everybody kind of when they pull up a model on any news station that you're on or on any radar that you look at, this is going to be the standard um, for the colors that you see, and it kind of explains what they are. And like what went through Caney, it had a very big hail core in it, which was the dark pink, and it also had white pop up in the middle of that hail core. And when you see that, that's never good, because that
Yeah.
means that whatever the radar is bouncing its energy at, it's stuff's not coming back, basically. So it's just not giving you information because there's so much going on. And we did see a lot of white go through Caney, and that was actually
Yeah.
last Monday. That was just a week ago.
Yeah. It was rough.
Mhm.
It really was. I know several people who had their cars totaled out. There's new roofs going up all over town, windows knocked out of houses, out of cars, out of churches, you name it. I mean, I personally saw several hailstones big enough to actually kill you if
Oh
they
yeah.
hit you.
Mhm.
So it is bad news. Of course, I've also survived a hailstorm. I like to tell the story that I saw snow in June one year. Um, the story behind that, I did indeed see snow, but according to the weatherman that night, that was an intense hail event. Uh, we were in the wheat field and it started snowing, and there was this huge thunderhead, and it was just the ice didn't clump up; it came down as
Yes.
a snow, and it
Interesting.
was the most surreal thing I have ever seen to this day. It was 100
Scary when
degrees
it's
out
going
and snowing. All right. Well, our next slide is a picture of your
Yeah.
regular thunderstorm.
This is kind of a. I thought this is off of Weather Underground, and they have a really good graphic of what a supercell looks like. And when you're looking at clouds and you're wondering if there's something going to happen in that cloud, the main thing, if you start looking at the very top of it, if you're far enough away where you can see it, you're probably about 50, at least 50 miles away from it. That's where you'll see the prettiest pictures. But that overshooting top, when you start to see that break up, through the top of that anvil head, or the tops of the clouds, that's when you want to start kind of paying attention. Now, just because there's an overshooting top doesn't mean there's going to be a supercell form, but this is one of the things that is going to have to be in place for that to happen. Um, so yeah, it's kind of interesting, and it's just the jet stream. It's going over top of the jet stream, and you know,
All right.
it's just kind of interesting.
Next slide.
This is we were talking a little bit about Skywarn, and when we were with in Tulsa, National Weather Service is who we went through down there, and this was one of the sheets that they would give us. And I always thought this was a cool one because, it shows it's kind of a rudimentary picture of what we saw before, but it's got the overshooting top on it. But the thing that I like about this graphic so much is if you look at the very bottom where you see the tornado, and then just to the left, you see where it says wall cloud, and just up above that, it says clear slot. You don't see that depicted a lot in the graphics. But a clear slot is something that they discovered, I want to say it was back in the late 70s, early 80s, that seems to, when that shows up, there's a very good likelihood that things are really moving into place for a tornado to form. So I always thought that was cool. We always look for the clear slot in pictures or in any.
And there is lots of good information out there for people to find. And I really recommend this time of year boning up because it can save your life.
This is just the back of that sheet. And I like how they did the hail estimates on this because, they don't say marble sized because marbles are different sizes. You want to go more penny, quarter, half dollar. Like Mark said, we had like between hen eggs and oh yeah, the butterfly people were in Joplin.
Yeah, there was reports of supernatural activity of people with butterfly wings.
Yeah.
And they apparently saved many children.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, weird stuff happens in these storms. So I mean, it's not really the right show for that, but stuff happens, and I'm not going to say it's not.
Right.
So, all right.
And this is just another graphic I kind of liked. It does a good job of showing what the overshooting top looks like on top of that anvil shape. And, a lot of what we see on the ground, if you're close to it, pretty much what you're going to be seeing is like that wall cloud at the bottom that shows up above the tornado.
Right in here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And there's all of that above it going on that you may not be able to see if you're too close.
I've definitely seen wall clouds and the little rope. I've been within 100 feet of an EF1 or EF0 tornado. I was on my way home from Independence one day, and my boss calls, says, "Come back to the office. There's a tornado between here and Caney. You need to head back." And I said, "Really? Where?" And he told me, and I just go, "That's where I'm at." And I turned my head, and running along the railroad tracks next to me, not 100 feet away, was this rope tornado. I just hit the gas, and I said, "Nope, I'm going."
Not today, Satan.
Which you should not try to outrun a tornado, but I was already passing it. So at that point, why not? Because I'm not turning around.
No.
Not at that point. And it did quite a bit of damage that storm. It wasn't a terrible storm, but even an EF0 or EF1 can do a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So, man.
This is a squall line. And basically what a squall line is see where that line is of the yellow that's kind of marching up the graphic there. They can go anywhere from, a few miles up to over 100 miles or stretch completely across the
now, didn't they used to call that a gust front?
They kind of did. Yeah. Actually,
Yep.
We said that.
So when I was growing up, it was a gust front, but I'm old.
No, you're right.
Old-ish.
They call it a squall line because, it a lot of times it'll have the squalls along with it, the high winds and the heavy rains and things like that. But they tend to pass through quickly, and they're less prone to produce tornadoes than is a supercell. Right. So what we're looking at isn't a supercell. This is just a squall line.
If you look at this squall line, if you look down to the bottom and over to the left, it appears a possible hook echo getting ready to start.
It's got the potential.
It has the potential to be one, and it would be something that I would be keeping my eyes on if I was in the area, because while it is not one now, it looks like there might be some rotation there, and it'll cause that divot there in the corner. It's not very defined because it hasn't formed one yet, but it would be a suspicious thing to see if I were looking at the radar on my phone.
I would definitely keep my eyes on this.
I would definitely keep my eye on this storm cell. We'll move on to the next.
I wanted to give you guys a visual of what a squall line looks like. And this was what moved through Caney back in March. It was March 7th, actually. Kansas can always find the hook echo, right?
Yeah, I mean,
We're all
Kansas.
eagle-eyed
Yeah,
for
he says air,
hook
Kansas.
echoes.
Yes, we've seen plenty. Like I said, many communities around here have been ravaged by tornadoes over the last 50 years. It is something that is on our collective consciousness constantly this time of year. They do not call it Tornado Alley for no reason.
Yeah. And I
So,
think if I remember correctly, Enzo, this might be close to the shot that you saw. I know Enzo told us he was watching the weather on YouTube and was like, hey, wait a minute, that's downtown Caney. I've been there. So it's probably pretty close to this shot is what you saw.
yeah. I got married in that church.
Oh, did you really? How cool.
I believe so. I believe that's
Christian
right across
church.
the street from the old grocery store. Yeah.
Yep.
I got married in that church.
Cool.
Congratulations, Chris. You got yourself a winner.
Too funny.
So.
But yeah, once you see something like this, that's when you can look back and forth between what you see in front of you and a radar, and this will give you an idea of how fast moving this is or what's going on with it.
Enzo, I've had the storm chasers pull up in front of my house.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's time to freak out.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. And this next one is the same picture, but it shows your.
Yes. And this is showing the bow echo that's coming out on radar from it. And when you see the bow echo, the next picture that you see, this will give you more of a visual of what that looks like. Kind of looks like a mothership. You see it bows out around, so you've got it looks more rounded.
Yeah, it can be very beautiful from a distance, honestly.
As long as it's not you're not in the path of it, or you're
Exactly. If you're behind it, it's okay.
That one's got some really nice striations in it. And this our friend Holly took, and that was on March 7th, and it was just south of Tyro.
Yeah. And this is a famous tornado. This is a tornado that hit Oklahoma City area and devastated the city of Moore. And that has a very definite hook echo down by what is that creek? I can't read. Bridge Creek.
Yeah.
Sorry, my eyes aren't what they used to be. This is a very famous, deadly tornado. And if you look up hook echo on the internet, you will find 15 images of this.
Yeah, for sure. This
is
very, very.
This is a classic. Mm-hmm. So this is what you're. If you see that,
more.
Grab onto your butt and put your head
underground
down, because you're in for a ride.
Yeah, so, definitely get underground.
This is the one that wiped out the school. There was a lot of injuries. It was a bad deal.
When you look at these, you'll have the pinks and blues and things like that, and when you see and see the green there too and the red, but when you see that green and blue start curling up into that red and that pink, that's when you know that there is the high likelihood that there's going to be a tornado popping out of that stuff.
Enzo says he was outside several years ago.
Vehicles, yeah.
Yes. When they got the armored chase vehicles out, it's down.
When the armored chase vehicles were out, we were too close, because as chasers, we didn't try to punch the core or anything like that. We stayed back far enough to get the really pretty pictures to send back to the news station. They were our bosses, so we got what they wanted, and they wanted the pretty pictures, and we were totally fine with that.
Yeah, nobody wants to be in that truck.
No. These are crepuscular rays. I used to always call these crepuscular clouds, but they are the rays, and that's just where you see.
We saw some Saturday.
We did.
They were beautiful.
They were, and this is just when the light shining, the sun shining up through the clouds like that, and it just looks like the rays that are coming through. So pretty.
Nice of you to share something friendly.
Yes.
But this usually happens after a storm.
Yeah, it does.
when it's on its way out. So if you see that, it's probably a good thing.
Yes. If you see these, this is not such a good thing. These are mammatus clouds.
You might as
And
well call your hell adjuster right now.
yeah, if you see these, you're more than likely going to see hail. Sometimes you'll see these and they'll have a greenish cast to them. Then you're really going to see hail, because that is a classic sign of hail, is when the sky gets kind of a greenish cast to it. But mammatus clouds, they don't happen with every single hailstorm. But if you see them, more than likely you are going to experience some hail. Literally hail.
Yep, hell.
And here we were talking about the clear slot earlier. This is a really good example of what a clear slot looks like visually. You can see it just under the words.
This man is about to get hit by debris. If you get that black stuff in the air, that is debris off of a building. And really, if the air doesn't move it someplace, gravity is going to flatten these two people.
Could happen.
So
Sure.
don't get out of your car unless you're going into a ditch, because
Yeah, don't stand out there and take pictures if you don't know how to interpret what you're looking at.
once again, I grew up in a town where the survivors of that storm were 30 years later still getting bits of it coming up out of their skin on occasion.
Oh, wow.
I have personally cut down trees that had nails or part of a glass or part of a chalkboard driven 3 feet into it. That tornado that hit Udall was F5 or more. It was a bad deal. The wind speeds on these things are no joke. Debris will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what will kill you. I mean, that's what will kill
the first
you.
Thing that'll get you.
That's in it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So don't get out of your car.
No.
That's not.
Don't think you're invincible. You're not.
You're not. That's right there. That debris right there. That's a man killer right there, and I don't like where those people are standing. Although I think the wind's probably carrying it away, but it's not good.
If you're not trained, do not go out and spot. It's not worth it. It can be extremely dangerous. I mean, even experienced storm chasers and meteorologists, they've gotten in some very bad situations over the years.
People have died chasing storms.
Yeah. El Reno tornado, it was 2012 or 2013. I think it might have been 2013. Tim Samara, him and his son, and a colleague, they were killed. And he was an engineer. I mean, he worked with Discovery Channel on storm chasers. He knew what he was doing. They were following textbook, you stay on this side of the storm, you stay this far away. It turned on a dime and spun up and just nailed him and killed all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't get much more experienced chasers than them. And it was a tragedy, and I will never forget when that happened. It was horrible.
If you're in your car, try to get to cover and stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So
for sure.
All right.
I mean, when you're on the ground, it is so hard to tell what's happening where. And even if you have a radar up in front of you, if you can't read that radar, it is really no help to you. And
yeah.
I can tell you the rudimentary things on a radar. I can tell you what the hook echoes, the bow echoes, the squall lines. I can tell you what those are.
Listen to your weatherman.
All the ins and outs.
Listen to your weatherman. He knows.
Absolutely.
National Weather Service. Get yourself a weather radio, weather alert radio. You can buy walkie-talkies with that built in. You can buy hand crank radios with that built in. Yep. I believe you can even get it in your car if you've got the right radio in your car.
Well, what's really cool, and it popped up when the storm went through Caney, March 7th, and then again, I don't know if it was in April or not. I can't remember. Or last week. I say April like it was so long ago. It was last week. Can't remember, but I know it popped up a severe weather alert on my phone, which was
I got an alert on my phone.
Yeah. And you can get the NOAA weather radio on your phone too now. So if you don't have anything else,
listen to people who know what they're talking about, but it doesn't hurt to know a little bit yourself in case all you get on your phone is a picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because internet doesn't work good when the storm's knocking the towers down,
No, for sure.
which we had some issues with that last week.
Yeah.
Some damage to some towers. So it can happen. Phone lines get knocked down, power lines get knocked down.
Hmm.
Just find a good weather station, listen to what they say. If they say a storm is headed your way, get to cover.
Absolutely.
Get to cover. Now, when I was a kid, radar technology was not that great. It was black and white. They couldn't tell much.
Yeah.
I remember many times sitting out in lawn chairs in front of the open cave house door so that if we saw, and everybody's trying to look a different direction, if we saw one coming our way, we could head down to the cave house and bar the door.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's that. That's not the safest thing to do.
No.
But at the time,
Do not.
seemed like-
If you're in a car, don't go sit under an overpass. I mean,
No.
that's just dangerous. You can get sucked out from underneath it. And besides that, you're going to stop traffic, and all these other people are going to be stuck behind
Yeah.
you, in front of you.
it can cause a Venturi effect and actually make the wind higher.
Mm-hmm. It can really, yeah.
We got
they used to say the big thing was they would tell everyone, now if you're out somewhere, get out of your car and get in a ditch or the lowest. They don't say that anymore.
No.
They now, as of at least this last year, they've changed it to, if you're in your car, make sure you're buckled in and get down as low as you possibly can, because you're going to be at least a little bit protected from debris, and that's the most deadliest thing in these.
Yeah,
It's debris.
Debris kills more people than anything. Yeah, so
it'll run a piece of straw through a telephone pole.
I've seen it. I like I said, I've cut down those trees in Udall. I've seen it. I've seen people pick pieces of straw from that night out of their skin 30 years later. It's
at Joplin, so many people got pelted with mud and things, and it embedded in their skin, and it was having. I mean, it was causing some really weird bacterial infections and all kinds of stuff.
There was some bad respiratory stuff going on too. Tornado in Joplin stirred some kind of fungus up.
Yeah.
And a lot of people died from the fungal infection in their lungs.
Yeah.
So I hate to say it, but masks can be effective in preventing fungal infections.
What was that again? Wait, say that again.
Masks can be effective. Fungus is much bigger than a virus. And so I would get an N95. If you're going to get one, you might as well get one that works.
Get a good one.
For the aftermath of a storm like this, if your town gets leveled, who knows what is in the air?
Absolutely. You don't know.
One of the things you have to worry about is asbestos.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't think about this. When you have a building, especially an old building, that gets walloped with a tornado, I guarantee you there is going to be, and this is a very technical term, a crap ton of asbestos in the air. Because a lot of times, and this is from experience, when they do stuff to reduce asbestos, like in some buildings, the government considers it completely safe to just put carpet over asbestos flooring and call it taken care of. They call it good if you wrap it in plastic in some cases. So when the building gets destroyed, all that asbestos that they've covered up with carpet or what have you, that's in the air. That's why I do have N95 masks in all of my emergency kits.
Yep.
It's something to think about.
For sure.
Rabbit hole.
For sure. This is that mothership picture again, but I thought it really showed. I kind of ran the red line across the striations in that. I thought that was just a really pretty picture. But it's showing the bow echo. It's showing how it's bowing out when you see those striations like that.
Yeah.
It's a cool picture.
That's Greensburg, Kansas.
This was 12 days after the tornado completely decimated that poor little town.
And that's not as bad as it could have been.
No. It was bad enough, though. I think only one building survived downtown.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a bad deal.
Hmm. And our local music teacher, Mrs. Huey, Stacy Huey, she grew up in Greensburg. She's from there.
Yeah, I've got family out and not in Greensburg, but in that general area. That would be the town that they went to for grocery shopping and whatnot.
So when
So,
Greensburg happened, when the tornado happened there, we were storm chasing with Channel 2 at the time under Dan Threlkeld. And Lanny Dean happened to be one of the first up on the scene after the tornado had hit Greensburg. And it was because he was chasing the storm that came through that way. And he had PTSD from it. I mean, he
yeah,
did. I'm sure he probably still does. He was the first one on the scene. All he had with him was like a hoodie and a couple of bottles of water, and that was it. And it was after that that they really stressed to us, if you're going to do this, if you're going to get close to areas like this, make sure you have first aid kit, make sure you have blankets, make sure you
a couple
have a way
cases of
to
water won't
warm
hurt.
a little bit. Yeah. If you're going to do this, make sure that you've taken first aid courses, make sure you know
Yeah,
basic
you can
CPR.
buy a 10-pack of space blankets for a couple bucks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is something to think about
That's a
because
hard thing to
those
roll up on.
those people were hurting. A lot of them were hurt badly.
Yeah. I can't remember
People
how many.
died. I can't remember how many people
There's a
died.
hundred and some in Greensburg, but you're looking at a town that had less than like 1,400 population, and they lost
10% of the population there
Yeah.
got just wiped out.
Yep.
So 10%. That's literally the definition of decimated.
Yep, for sure.
So, oh,
I know.
I drove past this. I told you I went to Joplin. I drove past
Yeah.
this. It actually moved the entire hospital. This is a big building. Moved it off its foundation.
Yeah, it moved it. I can't remember how far. It wasn't a lot, but you know what?
2
It was
inches.
enough to completely. Yeah, it was enough to completely
Think of the
kill the
force
building.
that took. That
It
look how
broke the
big.
underpinnings out. I mean, it did everything.
There were operations in the operating theater going on when this hit. I mean, this was a bad deal.
My cousin Susan, she lived in Joplin at the time, and she was working on her microbiology degree. So she was working part time at St. John's,
Yep.
and she lived on 22nd Street or 21st Street, and she worked at Walmart out on Rangeline in the pharmacy. So her boyfriend at the time, he worked at St. John's as well, and he had called her, and he was like, there's tornado coming. You need to get over here, take cover, because she was just in an apartment. So her and her roommate jump in the car, and they're headed to St. John's, and he calls back and he's like, go the other way, go the other way. It's hitting us now. It's hitting us now. So they were like, holy cow. So they turn around, and she wasn't from there. So the only other place she knew to go was her job, which was Walmart on Rangeline. So they're flying out that way. And she said all they could see was just, a storm cloud behind them. That's all they could see. Well, it was the tornado. It was just such a huge tornado that they couldn't see the ends of it. They got to Walmart, got out of their cars, ran in the building. They were running people to the back. And as soon as they got to the back and ducked, it hit. And there's a picture, I think it's on my Facebook album too, actually, that shows Walmart afterwards. And she had responded to it, and she said, see these roof pieces. We use these as a ladder to climb out of the building.
Yeah. This building was 4 blocks from the main office for the company I worked for at the time. I don't have permission to use their name, but it's a healthcare company. What struck me was the selectiveness. My company's building was completely untouched. Across the street, south of them, and one building to the south, so maybe 100 feet, was just totally wiped out. So it was like somebody took a razor blade and said, we're going to destroy everything from this line over. And then 2.5 blocks east of this picture was the undamaged church that I delivered emergency supplies to.
Freeman Hospital. Yeah.
So,
and that's where they took everyone when this happened. They took them over to Freeman.
Yeah, just up the street from here.
Just
The big
south.
church and Freeman Hospital, just a couple blocks from there, and is where I delivered this. I had to drive right past it. It was awful.
We used to live on 2407 South Wall Street, and we were in Joplin the next day, and we took a bunch of pictures. And it's actually on my Facebook page. There's an album on there, and it's called, I think it's just called Joplin. But we had gone through, and I went through Google Maps and took screenshots of the street views of like my old house, and then I put up next to it the picture of the day after the tornado of what the area looked like. And they are just, I wish I would have grabbed them for tonight. They are just crazy.
I am not going to lie to you guys right now, looking at these pictures, talking about this tornado in particular. My heart is trying to beat out of my chest.
It's awful.
It
I've got
was
a lot of
awful.
family in Joplin.
And then, they draw signs on buildings and cars and stuff. And I saw so many cars that had the mark on them that said that there were bodies inside.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd see the other symbols, but it, it to this day, it's all I can. I'm going to have to move on because I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, do it.
It's bad news. Oh, and it's time for.
Oh, yeah, to switch to the other one.
Yep.
So, March 7th. This is me being smart and standing on my patio,
In front of
watching
your
the
glass window.
rotation in the parking lot of the swimming pool that is right outside my door. You might hit play again on it. I think it was just hitting me. But yeah, look how low that was. Sirens went off 6 separate times that night.
Yeah, well, there was several tornadoes, and they were headed
There's the expedition. That's going to chase people.
pretty much just north of us for the most part, and then all the way over to Tyro, so like 15 miles. There were some pretty bad things going on.
This is don't do what Pam did. Don't stand out there and watch this. Get inside where it's safe.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
No.
It's not a good thing. And just when we thought it was clear,
You might be a Kansan. Yep.
he's not wrong.
No, you're not.
The stereotypes are unfortunately quite accurate and not the smartest thing we could be doing.
My boss, she was on her way home from a meeting, and she lives in Nites, and she was like, "Hey, are you home? Can I just come to your house because we're just getting into town and this is hitting?" And I was like, "Absolutely, get over here." So, there's like a hook echo just above Caney, basically. And so I'm like, we need to get, and the only place in my apartment is back in the bathroom. It's in the middle of the house. So we're headed back that way. We weren't back there 2 minutes before we're out on the porch looking again.
And I'm going to bring something up right now. You see all these things for personal storm shelters that go in your garage and whatnot. They're not a bad idea.
No,
You can put an in-ground storm shelter that holds 15 people in for $5,000.
Mhm.
That's installed.
That's awesome. That's not bad at all.
It's not bad. I mean, one that holds 5 people is $2,000. So you might as well just go all in and get the one for 15 people and invite the neighbors you like in.
Yeah.
Just the ones you like. I mean, the kids.
You're not obligated to take anybody in that you don't want to take in.
You're not obligated.
Not obligated. However,
I'm not the nicest person in the world.
It's funny.
You can wait outside and be the spotter. The people I don't like.
Or do my dad.
I would let them in, but it's fun to poke fun at people.
We lived out north of town in the country growing up, and I will never forget. It was 1982, and my dad is standing out in the field south of our house, going, "It's just a little wind," That is the storm that spawned the tornado that wiped out half of Tyro, Kansas. And Tyro is only 9 miles from where we were standing at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
that's our joke now. It's just a little wind.
Yeah. So anyway, don't think I'm a terrible person for poking fun at people. I would let anybody in who needed in.
Oh, absolutely, you would.
Although I
exhaustion.
I do like, joshing around that I was going to make them stand outside.
And there's always a little bit of confusion for some people on like what is a watch and what is a warning, and which is the one you really need to pay attention to. We need to pay attention to both of them, honestly. But the easiest way to remember it is to watch for a warning. So you're watching the skies, you're watching the radar, you're watching, the news and make sure that wherever you're going to be, you have a plan in place just in case you need to get out of there quickly or.
There's a meme out there that describes it better than anything. A watch is, I have all the ingredients I need to make tacos.
Yeah.
A warning is, actual tacos are happening now.
Yes. And same with, a warning. Someone has either spotted a tornado with their eyes or it has been seen on radar, one or the other. So yeah. And it is moving towards you. That is what a warning is. So if you hear a tornado warning, if you look at a map and you see a big red box around something where you're at, you need to be careful.
Enzo posted
Twisters
tornado
tacos.
So
Twisted tacos. There you go.
Ooh, that actually sounds.
That's a freebie, Mark.
That sounds brilliant.
That sounds like a food truck.
That sounds like a food truck. That sounds like a T-shirt.
Sounds like a really interesting drink too.
Ooh, yeah. So I can picture it now. A little bit of Jose Cuervo, some taco seasoning, and
a margarita mix.
A couple dollops of Sprite just to fizz it up. There you go.
That would be cool.
Taco, or a taco twister.
Lindsborg fish tacos.
Oh, they were good.
We were talking about them again today, Enzo. So just in case, so everybody knows, there's this little place in Lindsborg, Kansas.
Free shout out.
It's called Bella. What is it called? Bella. I forgot the name. I lost it. Bella something Bistro. Bella Soul Bistro. Is that what it is?
Bella Soul Bistro. That was it.
Holy cow! They have the best food. But Enzo took us there.
Cheeseburger was amazing. I mean, the tacos looked and smelled amazing. Enzo got a BLT, and we thought it was wrong when they brought it because instead of using bacon, they used fresh pork belly, hand breaded and deep fat fried. That was that thick.
We thought it was like a fried chicken sandwich or something.
It was fried pork belly on a sandwich. It looked amazing. I wish I lived closer because everything everybody got looked amazing, and I want to try it all.
It was so good. Yeah, we thought poor Enzo was going to slip into a food coma.
We're going to have to stop on our way up in July for
100%.
For UFO days. So
yes, for sure. I even took pictures of my food just in case.
It was pretty good.
The presentation was great too.
Yeah. I mean, and they had a nice bar. I wasn't driving. I should have.
It was a nice little place. It really was.
It was real. It had his light BLT.
Look what you've done, Enzo. Yeah, his light BLT.
There was nothing light about that. It was enough food to feed 3 people.
Yeah. It was,
I could not have finished it. I'm a big guy. I like to eat. I could not have finished it.
Mine just came with tacos, and I had a side of bourbon glazed carrots. I couldn't finish it. They just reopened after remodeling. Oh, interesting. I couldn't eat all mine.
Their hand battered onion rings were simply amazing. I can't describe how good they were. I mean, the only thing wrong with the onion rings is I didn't have a 5-gallon bucket of them. Serious. So, yeah. So there's another rabbit hole for us.
That was a rabbit hole.
You get me started on food.
Well worth it though. So Lindsborg, Kansas, Bella Soul Bistro.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. They're on Facebook.
They're on Facebook.
I had to go look them up.
If you're in the area, I definitely recommend to stop by.
Mm-hmm.
So, you will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
The menu is
Give 'em some
small,
love.
but everything is incredibly well done, well
Yes.
presented, and excellent.
Service was great. Yeah. It was all good.
Yeah, I actually left a positive review, and that does not happen all the time.
Wow. Cool.
I know, right?
Yeah. It's awesome.
I felt the need. All right, so
Let's
I
pull it
think
back from the weeds.
let's get out of the weeds. We've really talked about the kinds of weather you're going to expect this time of year. What to look for. Number one,
Mhm.
watch your local weather. The more local, the better.
Mhm.
They have got your best interests at heart. I know they are trying to make a living, but they make a living by keeping you living.
Yes.
So pay attention. They are not joking around. With that said, let me see if I can find this screen because sometimes I'm kind of a tech retard. Um,
Tectard?
a tech tard. Yes, that's correct.
Let's
Uh,
yeah. Let's copyright that because yeah,
there you go.
those
And
issues.
I love technology, and I'm actually pretty good with it, but I don't care for social media, so I really suck at it.
I struggle.
I struggle with it. Give me a program and have me do something with it. I'm pretty good. Uh, this is ready.gov. It's got stuff for thunderstorms, lightning, flooding, how to build a kit, what to do for older adults, how to make a plan form, the FEMA mobile app, and emergency alerts. It is a very good resource, as is.
And I'm glad to see they have how to make a plan on there because that's something we really haven't talked about. And
Right.
I
And
know
you'll find a link to that on the What If Tomorrow Facebook group. So, and there is also a link to the FEMA website with a list of things to put in your emergency kit. So, these are resources that are free to you, and I have availed myself of them, and I encourage others to do the same. Like I said, just because it's the government doesn't mean they don't sometimes know what they're talking about.
we were talking backstage a little bit about emergency kits, and I know you have them for different things. I definitely have, and it's just from years. There's my my severe weather bag. So there's all kinds of goodies in it. When we get time, we'll have to. If we have time, we'll kind of take a
Oh,
look.
yeah, we'll do that. And then we got the Kansas Severe Weather Awareness Information Pack. I have also posted that on the What If Tomorrow Facebook group. Do check it out. It's a PDF. You can print that out or save it to your computer and go through it at your leisure. It's got good information in it. Um, and it's specific to this area, but it translates to pretty much everywhere else. So please check that out. They have provided this resource, and it would be a shame to waste it. With that being said, let's talk about some of the stuff you've got in your emergency kit.
Oh, hang on. Let me grab it again. Ugh. So let's see what we have in here.
I left mine out in my car, but we've
Did you?
we've looked at it on the show before, so
These are kind of cool. These are water filter straws.
those are excellent to have.
They are. So if your source of water gets contaminated, you can use these, and it will save you some sickness, if nothing else.
Yeah, nobody wants dysentery. It's bad.
No, for sure.
If you remember Oregon Trail from a kid, that's how everybody died.
It is. And I keep photocopies of like all my important documents in there, just to have on hand in case something happens, like your house blows away.
Oh, you can also
Have time to
scan
grab
them and put them
those.
on a flash drive and make them more
There
compact.
you go. That's smart.
So
Water. Always keep water in here. I got like 4 bottles of water in here.
I keep some in the trunk of my car just for just for
Yeah.
emergencies.
And I don't have Try to keep like granola bars or something in here too. Something that's going to
Granola
stay.
bars. They make food bars that last up to 25 years. You can keep in there. They're not expensive, and you don't have to worry about replacing them.
Yes. Spare set of clothes, a hoodie, if you can keep one in there. I've got like this little tiny toolkit that I keep in here.
I always keep one of these in every bag.
Yes. And this, we were talking about this backstage, something to turn off the gas at the meter.
That's a
Because
good
a lot
idea.
of times, yeah. And we were taught that. I used to be part of community CERT team, community emergency response team. And that was one of the first things that they told us was to make sure that you keep that, or you keep a wrench,
An
something.
adjustable wrench or
Yes.
a crescent wrench works
Yes.
excellent. That's what I always used when I need to turn the water or the gas off when I was doing work on the house. So
And power inverter. You can see that.
yeah, and power inverters are cheap.
They are.
You can go on Walmart.com or at Walmart. You can go walk right into Walmart. And let me see if I can find this. Share screen. And okay, you guys are looking in my shopping cart. So let's check these out. For as little as $15, you can buy a 100-watt inverter.
I don't remember how much I paid for this one.
They're not expensive.
They're not.
And if you're feeling frisky with your money, you can go up to 751 for about $55. That'll power a lot of stuff right there.
I don't know how much I paid for this. This is a 200-watt one.
Yeah, they're not expensive. You can get them on Temu even.
And this, I think it's got 4 USB charging ports in it too.
I've seen them for $10 on Temu. If you got 2 weeks to wait, go for it.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff. You can buy pretty much anything you need from Walmart. Here's one of my favorite things from Walmart. This is something that almost anybody can afford.
Yeah.
It is a very small gas generator. Runs on weed eater gas. It's $170. You can run your freezer. You can run your heat in a pinch. You can use it to charge your devices, whatever you need. Most people that I know have a weed eater, so they've got weed eater gas. But it's not a bad thing to have. A lot of people are using solar generators. Just remember that you need to keep them charged, and there's not always sun. You can build a solar generator with the same capabilities as the solar generators that you can buy for big bucks. You can buy the parts and build one yourself if you're the least bit technical from Temu and have the same capabilities for like $100 as you can spend, $800. So that's something to think about as well.
And if you happen to have like this is a jumper for a car, a Stanley jumper, but it's also got a place to charge USB and things like that. So even if you just have this might be something, if you happen to have one, make sure you keep this stuff charged up. But if you're in an emergency situation, you can still charge your phone off of this.
And here's a cheap idea for folks. Get you one of those marine battery boxes. Stick a battery in it. Just buy a car battery, stick it in it. Get you one of those trickle chargers that you can just plug in and charge, or a solar panel that'll charge it. And then get you one of those little deals that you put in your car that's got a cigarette lighter plug and a couple of USB ports and attached to it. And you've got an emergency power source that, depending on what you're using it for, can keep you going for days. The options are endless. You can spend money or you can save money. You can do whatever. I'm a cheapo, so I tend to build things. Just because
I don't know how, so I tend to buy things.
So we're at opposite ends of the spectrum. I am the shopping king, by the way. I can shop something to death. I shopped something down from $500 once to $50.
Nice.
Just because I could buy the components and put it together and have the same thing and just not as pretty a package. So, depending on what kind of a person you are, what kind of skills you have, there are all kinds of things you can do. You can take a 12-volt drill that the batteries don't work on anymore.
Hmm.
Most of those have solid magnets in them. You can build a crank and clamp it into a fixture and use it for a hand crank generator to put out 12 volts to charge your
Oh, wow.
stuff.
That's
So, I
awesome.
mean, there are thousands of ways you can deal with this. $300, you can get a 1,000-watt hydroelectric generator if you've got a place where you can run hydroelectric. There's just so many options. And if you are interested in preparing for things, there is no reason why you can't, depending on your circumstances, where you live. I mean, I know $170 is a lot for some people.
It
For some
is.
people, that's nothing. You can get on Walmart.com. And I don't know, I'm not going to do any more on Walmart, but you can buy a tri-fuel generator, 5,000-watt tri-fuel generator for under $400, run on natural gas, gasoline, or propane. Uh,
Awesome.
it doesn't have to be expensive. Like I said, you can build a solar generator
Yeah.
with portable panels.
I
Uh,
think Enzo's
I've
saying
got
something
flexible
about that.
panels that I put up on suction cups in the windows,
Oh, yeah.
and then I can charge my stuff off of them, and it's not hard to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool.
so there's all kinds of things you can do. But the big thing with the weather is being safe. Find out where your local shelters are
Yeah.
and get there before the storm gets there. Don't wait. I was in a storm once. We were in a house. The storm was coming, and we went to go to the local church. And the tornado, as we were walking to the church less than a block away, the tornado actually passed directly over our heads. We just turned around and went back to the house. We were out in the middle of it. So be sure to give yourself time to get where you need to be. Most communities have public shelters, usually church basements. City buildings sometimes have basements. Any place with a fallout shelter, if it's a fallout shelter, it'll damn sure weather a tornado.
And
So
again, if there's a tornado warning out, somebody's either already spotted it or they're seeing one on radar and it is moving towards you.
if
So
there is a warning, you need to hunker down and find a safe
absolutely.
place in your house. If there
Yeah.
is a watch, it's a good time to head to the church basement, bring some sandwiches and some drinks, and share with
Just
your
need to
neighbors.
make sure that you got all your ducks in a row. You know where your kids are, you know where your family is. You have an emergency plan for wherever you're going to be at.
Have a tornado bag.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Your tornado bag doesn't need to have a whole lot in it. It needs water bottles, granola bars,
Make sure,
maybe some rain ponchos,
if anybody's on medication, make sure that you have medication in
extra
there, at least
medication.
2 or 3 days worth, if nothing else.
Yeah, and it's a lot of times they will refill your meds 2 or 3 days before they're due.
Mhm.
Take those 2 or 3 days and squirrel them away in a bottle, and just hold on to them.
Yeah.
Put them in your go bag. 2 or 3 days worth of meds can save your life if you get run out of your house because of storm or what have you.
Just do
It's not a
yourself a favor and make sure that you either in your phone's calendar or somewhere you put a reminder like every 6 months to check what's in your bag, go through it, and if things are expired to
make sure
replace
that. Yeah, I found some expired granola bars a while back. They were over a year expired, but they were still delicious. So yes, I did open them and they seemed fine, so I ate them. It's
I can.
waste not, want not, I always say. They weren't quite as fresh as they could have been, but they were still tasty.
Hey, they're
Like
gritty
granola,
anyway, so
honey granola bars, those things. Honey has been found to still be edible thousands of years after it's been
yes,
stored. So, I mean, honey is also a natural antibiotic and antifungal. So
it is for sure.
they store a lot longer than the package say they will. So there's that.
Yeah, it's
I'm not
usually
recommending
best
you
by
eat.
date.
I'm not recommending you eat expired things. I'm just saying that I did. And I did not get sick. The street
Disclaimer.
tacos, the street tacos I had from a truck in a town which will remain nameless because then you will know what town they were in, did make me sick. So
No.
there you go. But the 1 year expired granola bars did not. Talking about old beeps. They last forever too.
I was going to say, do those expire at all?
I think they
I
last
think they
forever.
just recycle them.
Yeah, they taste like it. Kind of like sawdust and sugar.
Pretty much. I think that's what they are.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't really have a whole lot more on this subject. Do look at the ready.gov. Do look at the FEMA website. Check out this PDF from the National Weather Service for Kansas Severe Weather Awareness. They can save your life. Find out, call your local PD, talk to your local city hall or whatever.
Yeah.
They will have a list of places you can go in a storm. Find the closest one to your house and make sure you know how to get there and what to do.
And again, if you're interested in learning how to spot for one of the National Weather Services, Google Skywarn. You can also talk to like the emergency management coordinator in your county.
Civil defense often has their own spotters. So contact your civil defense coordinator. They will know who you need to talk to.
If you're into amateur radio, there's a group of ham radios. If you go to arrl.org, I think is where you can find the spotter group there. That's how big a nerd I am. I actually have a license, a ham radio license.
You need to help me get one. I want to get a portable ham. And
yeah, absolutely. I've had mine for, oh my gosh, close to 20 years, I think. Well, maybe, at least 20 years.
Such a nerd. I knew you were the sister I never had but always wanted. Oh, my heart just feels so warm right now to know that.
KC0LMG, that is my call sign. Yeah, that's fun stuff.
We just had a warm fuzzy.
Aw. Yay.
All right.
Look what Enzo put. That's funny.
I know what kind of ham we're talking about. And I am a ham. I'm not going to lie. I am a ham. I prefer people laughing at me instead of laughing with me. So, I mean, I get it.
Before we get off of here, I do want to bring up one thing that we didn't talk about. I kind of had some notes written down here.
We did have a lot of rabbit holes, more rabbit holes than anything else.
We did, for sure. That's nothing new, though.
No, that is nothing new. That we should have changed we should call the show Rabbit Holes. I don't know.
Oh, for sure. The enhanced Fujita scale, the EF, when you hear the different numbers on a thing, a lot of people will look at a tornado at the size of it and be like, ooh, that's an EF5. Well, that's not necessarily the case. The scale is based more on the damage than it is the size of the actual funnel itself, the tornado itself. So you can have a huge tornado, but if it's in the middle of the field and it didn't damage anything, then it wouldn't be an EF5 by any means. It could be an EF1, an EF0. I always thought that was kind of interesting.
Ken says he took storm spotter and tracker class years ago.
They're great.
So we should have had him on with us.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about Skywarn and stuff like that. But if you look at the different kinds, like an EF0, it's just light damage. It might peel off the surface of a roof, damage some gutters, break some limbs, stuff like that.
Race you home.
Yes. An EF1, you're going to have your roof severely stripped. Mobile homes are going to be overturned or damaged severely, things like that. You've got an EF2, you're getting considerable damage. The roof may be torn off a well-constructed home. foundations of homes may be shifted. You know, a mobile home, it'll be completely torn up. Large trees may be snapped or uprooted, things like that. When you get an EF3, that's when you start seeing your severe damage. You're gonna see entire stories of or entire stories of like a well-constructed home. They're gonna be gone. You're gonna see severe damage to large buildings, such as like shopping malls. You'll see trains overturned. Trees may have been debarked, where the bark's just completely stripped off of them. In EF4, you're going to have devastating damage. You're going to have a whole frame house completely leveled. You're going to have cars thrown and wrapped around stuff. You're going to have missiles generated out of, maybe the wood out of the home, things like that. You get into an EF5, that's going to be like, that's Greensburg, Kansas. That's
like a nuke.
Yeah, it is.
That-
I guess it killed 11 people. I thought it killed more than that. I didn't want it.
we must have it mixed up with it. That might have been Joplin, though. Joplin
had more than that. They had about 1,100 people killed in it.
Okay, well, I knew there was a lot.
Yeah, it was quite a few more. But there you're going to see devastation, like we were showing in the pictures. You know, like the big hospital being shifted on its foundation enough to where it had to be torn down because there was no saving it. They call that like a deformation of the foundation. So if it's twisted, if it's moved just enough, there's no saving it. And then you've got they call it an EF no rating. So that's anything above a 5. You don't see that. If you do, it's inconceivable. The damage is just absolutely inconceivable.
Yeah, you might not be able to find a hole deep enough.
Oh no, for sure. You're going to have missiles made of ice boxes and water heaters and storage tanks and automobiles. You know, you're going to see stuff like that. It's going to scrub the foundations off of the houses that are already gone. There's going to be nothing left. So yeah, it's twisting space time. Absolutely.
I don't know. It might.
Yeah, for sure.
It might be a vortex into another dimension. The dimension of no longer existing is what it is.
You said vortex. That just reminded me of something else. You know, you can have a funnel that's not a tornado. The difference between a funnel in the sky and a tornado is a tornado has touched the ground. And so if you listen to storm spotters or the radio or the TV and they have the storm spotters come on, you may hear them say, you know, I see a funnel, I'm looking for a debris cloud. And that's usually how you're going to see that first, is you're going to see debris coming up. And that's when they're like, okay, it is, you know, it's a tornado. We have it on the ground. It's on the ground now. And that's how you really see a tornado, is once it picks up the debris and the dirt and things like that, then it darkens up and then you can really see it.
Enzo says the dimension is called Oz. Kansans should know that.
Awesome. That's true. That's fun.
All righty.
Fascinating subject, though. Thank you for having me join.
We'll have more shows on this in the future, depending on what's going on. We'll talk about summer heat later in the year. Winter starts rolling around. We'll talk about snowstorms and blizzards again. It seems repetitive, and we've talked about it a lot. You can go back through our catalog and see stuff where we've talked about this. It's serious stuff, folks, and the reason why we keep talking about it is because every year people die.
They do.
From these sorts of storms.
Way too many.
It's not a laughing matter. I'm usually one to joke. I'm not going to joke about this. People die, and radar and make fun of meteorologists all they want. They have saved tens of thousands or more lives.
They have.
Back in 1955, when Utah blew away, meteorology was still pretty much in its infancy. They had zero warning. This storm hit the town. Nobody had taken cover. It killed so many people. It destroyed livelihoods. It destroyed homes. I've been in both buildings that survived the tornado. One, only the front survived, and they rebuilt around the front. And the other one, a friend of mine's aunt owned it, and her husband had owned the lumberyard. We changed a window once, and I swear, in those old windows, most people put one nail in each corner to hold them in. There were 3 on the end of each board in this window. It took forever. We decided the sheer weight of iron held it to the ground.
Probably did.
I
That's
mean,
amazing.
but only 2 buildings, and they were damaged heavily.
Wow.
So it is serious stuff. People died. People I know have suffered PTSD for decades. We're still having problems with injuries caused from the storm. Really, I need to get the book, but if you ever go through Udall, Kansas, stop by their museum. They have everything you would want to know about that tornado. There's a book about it. I believe you can find on Amazon. I don't know. It made the tornado that hit Greensburg look like
At least they had a little bit of warning.
look like a slumber party, because those people had warning. They had a chance to try to do something to be safe. Before modern technology, before the NEXRAD radar, before all that, it could hit you and you didn't know. There was no siren to go off in the middle of the night unless you were very lucky. It just wiped you out.
And they didn't have the radar to even give the forecasts for the week or the month,
No.
extended forecasts and things like that. And people really have a problem with some of the meteorologists that are wrong. They got us all pumped up for this event, and it didn't happen.
I would rather get pumped up for an event and not have it happen than get wiped out. Yep. I am a whole lot happier alive right now than probably dead.
I would 100% rather be weather aware.
Or severely injured. That's even worse than dying.
Yeah.
You could be injured to the point where dying looks like it was a good thing. Because I've heard of people having limbs removed by debris in these storms. It is no laughing matter. I am not going to make fun of it. It is no laughing matter. Take it seriously. Take your weatherman seriously. Even if he's wrong all the time. I don't care if he's wrong all the time. That one time he's right.
Yes, makes up for everything.
Could be the time your ticket gets punched. So please, during severe weather of whatever kind, take it seriously. Make plans. Have a plan.
Have a plan and practice it with your family, with your kids.
Especially
make sure that they understand. Yeah. If something happens and you get separated, we're going to meet here. Just so they know. I mean, if they don't know, it's going to be a lot harder after a situation.
Make sure you have a plan for any emergency, but specifically weather, because that is most likely what most people are going to have an issue with. Have a plan. Know where to meet your kids. If they're going to say, "Oh well, if something happens at the school, I'll go here. You can come find me here." Cell phones are great for that. You can track people and say, "Get to so and so's house right now."
Stuff happens.
Stuff does happen.
It may not be just weather either. I mean, I was in 6th grade in Caney when our gymnasium caught on fire at our grade school.
Yeah.
And, they had to evacuate all of us and they walked us all to the city park. Well, parents were freaking out. This was in the 80s. There weren't any cell phones or anything. All they knew that there was this big black smoke billowing out of the grade school full of kids.
And this is something I really haven't talked about before. But I'm going to. If you've got little kids, especially in your house, have a fire drill. Have a tornado drill.
They're less likely to panic if they have an idea.
Those kinds of things they do at the school. Since they started doing fire drills, I don't believe there's been a single fire fatality in a school since they started them.
Not that
I don't believe. I could be wrong. Somebody needs to look that up. But I believe the number I read, and forgive me if I'm wrong, look at my subtitle, Swiss Cheese for Brains. I believe I read not too long ago that before fire drills, approximately 50 students a year died in fires.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
So this is a huge change. These things can save lives. They work. That's why schools do them. That's why businesses do them. If you have children, do them for your home. They need to know what to do in case there's an intruder. They need to know what to do in case there's a fire. They need to know what to do in case there's a blizzard or a tornado or a flood.
Yep.
Do these things, talk with them, put maps up on the walls, whatever you think you need to do. Planning saves lives more than any other thing. Planning and warning. Those two things will save lives. And if you don't think it's important for you, if you've got kids, by golly, do it for them.
Yeah.
Do it for them. Because they are the most important thing. They are the next generation. They can't help themselves. It's up to you as a parent to help them understand what they need to do to be safe. And that gives you peace of mind.
It does, yeah.
Peace of mind is valuable. So I am going to get off my soapbox. I have a tendency to get on them.
It's a good soapbox.
It was a good soapbox, and even though we did go down a few rabbit holes, we actually stayed on target pretty good this time.
Not too bad.
I'm proud of us.
Yeah, I am too. Looking back to see if I missed anything that I wanted.
Thank you for coming, and I know this isn't usually what we have you on for.
No,
but
it was
as always, you are the best guest
and co-host.
Thank you. You and Jessica are both amazing, and we are happy to have you help us out and be co-hosts on the Fringe and helping us out once in a while on here. You're both amazing, and I really appreciate you being on here tonight.
Well, I enjoy sharing my non-expertise when I can.
Same here. I mean, it kind of sounds like I like the sound of my own voice. The truth is I can't stand the sound of my own voice, although I'm told it is not as odious to others as it is to me.
It's not. No, it is good. Yeah. You do good. I know.
All right. Now, don't give me a big head. I have trouble getting through the door as it is. So... All right, guys. With that being said, it is time to say goodnight. Good night, Pam.
Yeah, good night. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Good night.
Me.